10 common mistakes to avoid in your wedding day timeline. Building your wedding day timeline can be a very intimidating part of the planning process. You've likely never done this before. You have no idea how much time you need for certain things. I get it. We love helping our couples build their timelines because after photographing so many weddings, we know exactly how much time is ideal for every part of the day. We see what stresses couples out the most, what causes unexpected delays, and most importantly, what allows for the most relaxed, fun, and stress-free timeline. I've put together a list of 10 common mistakes we see in a wedding day timeline that can cause delays or add stress. These are easy mistakes to avoid, but most couples wouldn't even think of these ahead of time. That's what I'm here for. Let's get to it. Hi, I'm Morgan, a wedding photographer helping engaged couples create the perfect rundown for their wedding day. After photographing weddings for 5 years, I'm sharing all of my best tips, tricks, and experiences that I share with all of our couples. Here are the 10 common mistakes to avoid in your wedding day timeline. Number 1, not having bouquets delivered to your getting ready location so you can take portraits before the ceremony. You'll want your bouquets if you plan to do photos with your bridesmaids or with your significant other before the ceremony. So this is especially important to coordinate with your florist to make sure, 1, they drop the bouquets off in time for your portraits, and 2, that they drop them off at the correct location, especially if you're getting ready and your portrait location is different than, say, your ceremony or your venue location. Number 2, not having flowers delivered in time for your detail photos. If you want to include flowers in your detail photos, they generally need to be there pretty early. Check with your photographer for the best time. And you'll want to be proactive about this because not all florists will automatically do it. So make sure you ask your florist ahead of time if they can include some loose blooms for your detail photos. 3, not telling Dad where and when he needs to be ready for a first look. Tell Dad or anyone involved in a first look, first of all, what a first look is, exactly where they need to be, and when they need to be there. Tell them to be there at least 20 minutes before they actually need to be there, and make sure you tell, especially Dad, not to barge into the getting ready room when he gets there. We've seen this happen a lot. Number 4, not having bridesmaids' dresses steamed before the morning of the wedding. I personally just think it's a pain to have to do this the morning of. At the very least, have someone steam your wedding dress and veil the night before and leave it hanging. Someone can always do one quick extra pass the morning of. 5, not timing out hair and makeup for the start of photography. Don't just give your hair and makeup artist your ceremony time, give them your portrait time. Better yet, give them a hard end time that has some buffer between your hair makeup end time and your portrait time, which is typically when you need to start getting dressed. I recommend at least 30 minutes, so if anything gets delayed, you'll still be ready for your portraits on time. 6, not starting hair and makeup early enough. Similarly, ask your hair and makeup artist how much time they actually need to do their work, with buffer time. Give them the number of people they'll be working with, or if you don't know this number yet, ask them how much time they need per person. Make sure they're willing and able to start early enough, and make sure you can get into your getting ready location early enough too. 7, not allocating enough time for family photos. Family photos take longer than you think. We generally set aside 45 minutes for these, especially if our couple has a large family or wants to include extended family. This gives us some buffer time to track down people who wander away too, which will happen. If our couple has a small immediate family, we might be able to do these in, say, 20 to 30 minutes instead, but always check with your photographer. And always make a family combination list. Send that to your photographer too and ask them how much time they need to complete it. I have a huge blog post on how to set your family photos up for success. I'll make sure to link to it in the description of this video. 8. Making your family photo list too long. In addition to not having enough time, a long family photo list that's not organized well can cause a lot of stress. I suggest keeping the number of combinations to a minimum. I always recommend that most of the combinations include the couple and not, say, just the bride or just the groom, with the exception of parents, siblings, or grandparents. Try to organize the list that minimizes how much the bride has to move in and out of photos. That takes a lot of time, especially with a long train. I always recommend starting with kids and grandparents, larger groups, and then narrowing down from there. Again, check out my blog post on family photos that's linked in the description. 9. Not having the officiant make an announcement for family photos. Communication with your wedding guests and your family members is key to a lot of things. You'll want to share the plan for family photos with your family members ahead of time, but it always helps to have your officiant remind them, especially if family photos are coming up right after the ceremony. Have the officiant ask family members to stay by the altar or direct them to the appropriate location. You should also have your officiant tell guests about keeping their phones off or your no pictures policy if you have one, and give them any necessary directions or information for cocktail hour or the reception. 10. Not building in time to relax alone as a couple before the reception or giving yourself time to join cocktail hour. I promise you won't regret spending some alone time with your significant other on your wedding day. Building in some time to relax or join cocktail hour also gives you some good buffer time for your photos too. Stop stressing about your wedding budget. We've made budgeting for your wedding super easy for you by creating a detailed budget tracker in Google Sheets. Set your budget in every category, access it anywhere, share it with your fiance, and add expenses on the spot so you never miss a thing. Click Get My Free Wedding Budget Tracker in the description below to grab your free copy.